company is called Plum Dental Group. We started about 5 years ago. We had about 6 practices when we began, and we are currently about 25 practices. We are in Rhode Island mostly, and also in Eastern Connecticut. We have plenty of opportunity to grow within just that market. We are actually dentist owned and controlled, are all locally branded, and we are fully integrated. We operate as one unit, so we need all of our offices to be on the same systems. That's not just practice management system, that's accounting systems, IT systems, and the like, so that we're able to support the offices in an efficient way. We made the decision to go to a new cloud-based practice management system relatively early on in our company's life cycles. Almost about a year into it, we realized how cumbersome it was. We were on Dentrix before. When we acquired practices, we typically switched them over to a Dentrix-based server, but they were all operating individually. And we needed something that we were able to see across practices from a data standpoint, but also from a management standpoint, and an ability to have staff that's able to look into different practices that maybe are working at different practices. We knew we wanted to go cloud-based, and then the question is which one? And ultimately, we decided on CareStack for a variety of reasons. Number one, because of the user interface. We thought that CareStack had great clinical, because ultimately it has to work in the practice, that had a nice layer on top of it for management functionality, enterprise capabilities. The user interface is just so important. And again, it's not just the way that it's used in the office, it's the way that it's used by the patient for their patient charts, it's the way that it's used by management and how we communicate with the teams with regard to analytics. That is not an insignificant reason for why we chose CareStack ultimately. In client-server architectures, we actually have to have the server architecture ourselves, which we don't really want to own or manage. Whereas if it's cloud-based and you can just go through to a website and access, whether or not it's a doctor accessing their schedule, or whether or not it's us being able to access any of the practice information that we need from a management standpoint, CareStack helps save us money. When you get rid of the outside patient communication tools that we were using and paying for, what we were doing to support the server and the software that we were using before versus what the all-in cost of CareStack was, just by that alone, we were saving money. How quickly we turn over our accounts receivable is less than 15 days. I would say it's probably more like 12 days. And I actually think that we were probably closer to 20 days when we were really fully on Dentrix. The ability for us to turn over the AR and get cash into the business because of the visibility that CareStack provides us in terms of our patient ledgers and our accounts receivable. The ability to drill down on any one accounts receivable and to run reporting for our centralized billing group, I think was critical for us to be able to get that down and to manage it. And then when we buy new practices and getting it onboarded into CareStack, we could see how quickly we're able to bring down the outstanding AR, just having eyes on it. You got to be able to measure these things. And since we're able to measure it, we're able to manage it better. We weren't able to do centralized billing before we went on CareStack, just because we didn't have some centralized location where all the patient ledgers and information was housed. So we centralized our billing, and we centralized all of our patient communication out of CareStack. And then just in terms of scheduling from a management standpoint or a regional manager standpoint, being able to look at schedules easily and understand where there's holes, where there's challenges, and what training opportunities there are. Those were the early wins that we were able to get from CareStack.